This is a video describing how to use a random number table to select a random sample or to do random assignment. So first of all, a thing to know is that all of this is in the textbook on page 226 to 228. So if you have access to the textbook, you can look up all of this. And in fact, these examples I got out of the textbook. Okay, so really there are three steps to using a random number table to get a random sample. And it is likely on the not just likely. So on the AP test, they will always ask you to describe your method first, and then they may or may not ask you to actually use that method to get a random sample. But what you do need to be practicing especially is how to describe how you get your sample. So 3 steps, and you need to talk about each of the 3 steps. So the first one is to label numbers onto all of your experimental units. So label numbers in all the people in the situation or all of the population. Here's an important thing. With the same number of digits, and we will talk about why in just a minute, but you need to be consistent on your number of digits. If you need to do 15 numbers, so as in you're going to do 1 through 15, since 15 takes 2 digits, all of the numbers have to take 2 digits. So your 1 is not 1, it's 0, 1. Okay, we'll talk about that more when we get down to the example. First step is label. Second step is to randomize. So this is where you actually pull random numbers out of the table. And you do need to ignore any group of digits that wasn't used as a label or that duplicates a label. So again, we'll talk about that. So pull out as many random numbers as you need for that situation. And then the third step is to, they say select, but basically match up those random numbers you got to the things you labeled in step 1, so you can figure out which things you're pulling out. Okay, so label, randomize, select. Okay, so here's an example. So describe how to use a table of random digits to select an SRS of 3 schools from this list of 19 schools. Okay, so the first step is to label, and there are 19 schools here, which means some of my schools, like my last one here, requires 2 digits. So all of my schools need to require 2 digits. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so there they are all labeled with using a consistent number of digits. And then they have given us this row of random numbers to use. Now, you have access to table D in the book, which is just a table of random digits. I have included a PDF of it on Canvas, both in chapter 4 and under the welcome modules and in the classwork for today. So there's 3 different spots you can find it and download that and just have a table of random digits. And it is literally just that. It is just random digits. Imagine that you had in a hat pieces of paper that had the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You pull one out, write down the digit, put it back, pull one out again, write down the digit. And it's just truly a list of random numbers. Okay, so in real life, it doesn't matter where you get those random numbers from, as long as it is a truly random thing. In a math class, they will frequently give you the numbers to use so that everybody is pulling the same numbers, and then everybody gets the same answer, and we can check our answers and that kind of thing. So in real life, this isn't a thing, but in school it is. You will be given certain random numbers to use, and that way we can kind of follow what each other is doing. Okay, let's talk about why it's important that we have an equal number of digits. Let's talk about why it's 0, 1 and not 1 on Amphitheater High School. So you go through your random digits, and I'm going to go look at 2 digits at a time. So 62 is my first one, 08 is my second one. Now, imagine if Amphitheater High School was just 1, single digit 1. Each time you go through, you're going to have a 1 in 10 chance of getting Amphitheater High School. But if Wilson, K-8 school, the last one is 19, you actually have a 1 in 100 chance of getting 19. So we need to make it match up. We need to make it so the first one, by being 0, 1, now has the same chance of getting picked as 19. 0, 1 has a 1 out of 100 chance of getting picked instead of a 1 out of 10 chance. So that's why you need to have the equal number of digits always. Okay, so my first number 62 is not anything. We only went up to 19. 8 is. So 8 is Harrelson. Then we have 16 is 1. Prince Elementary School. Then we have 48, not 1. 16, okay, so 16 was already picked, so it can't get picked again. How many am I picking? A source of 3 schools. Okay. 87 is not on our list. It's not 0, 1 through 19, so ignore it. 37, not on our list. 40, not on our list. 95, not on our list. 17. 17 is Rio Vista. So there's our 3 schools. All right, so we labeled, we went through our random numbers. We got a random number table section. They gave it to us. And then you go through and go 2 digits at a time until you find 3 schools. And those are your 3 schools. Okay. So for your check your understanding, this one isn't actually having you do it. It's going to practice having you describe how you would do it, because there's 1,000 pieces in the situation and you don't want to have to label 1,000 things. Not worth your time. So I want you to pause the video, read through the check your understanding, do your best effort on it, and then unpause and I'll go over it. So pause the video, do the check your understanding. Okay, so now what we're doing is practicing describing what you would do, but you don't actually have to do it. Thankfully, it would take forever. So our 3 steps are label, randomize, select. So first step. So label all 1,000 pieces of wood using the numbers 0001 to 1,000, because if you are going all the way to 1,000, that's 4 digits, which means even your first number has to be 4 digits. And on a side note, we'll talk about another option besides that at the end, but let's just go with these numbers for now. So then you would move along a list of random numbers from left to right, reading 4-digit numbers until 5 different numbers between 001 and 1,000 have been selected, which means you're ignoring numbers bigger than 1,000 and 0000. And then you would inspect the corresponding 5 pieces of wood. So we had label, we have randomize, and then we have select. Now, on a side note, you also could have used, instead of using the numbers 0001 to 1,000, you could have used 000 to 999. What you needed was 1,000 different numbers. And if you didn't start your counting at 1, if you started it at 0, it would have allowed you to end at 999. And then now it's 3 digits. And in real life, this would actually be much easier, because when you start pulling 3-digit numbers out of the table, you wouldn't have to chuck out 90% of them, right? Like every possible 3-digit number comes up in that range of 000 to 999. And then you wouldn't have to go through so much of the table. You wouldn't keep having to ignore things in the 4,000s and the 5,000s and the 6,000s. So you could have done that. Either description, though, will get you full points in the AP test. It doesn't really matter how efficient your process is, as long as it is effective in selecting a random sample. Okay, that's it. You will get more practice on this skill in the asynchronous homework and as that comes up in the different activities, but that is how you use a random number table.